Coming up, not many watching the Olympics, and now Mike Tirico, NBC's face of the games, has left China ahead of schedule and is not going back. We'll tell you what he said before his departure. Plus, nothing destroys a peaceful morning like a leaf blower in the neighborhood. The new effort, coast to coast, to get rid of them for the noise, for the environment. But is there an alternative? We'll get into that. Welcome to the broadcast. We begin tonight with breaking news from the border, the U.S.-Canada border. We have a live look at the Ambassador Bridge. It connects Windsor, Ontario to Detroit, Michigan. It is the busiest international crossing in North America, and it has been shut down for much of the day. It's a major economic lifeline between the two countries, closed going to Canada and significantly restricted coming to the U.S. This is all due to the protests by truckers who started over the vaccine mandates in Canada, but it has grown to much more than that. NewsNation's Rudabeh Shabazi on the ground for us in Ottawa, where those protests originated. Rudabeh, it looks like an absolute mess up there. Let's start with the Ambassador Bridge, a little southwest of where you are right now. This is a critical economic artery going both ways. What's the latest there?
Yeah, Joe, we hear about the U.S.-Mexico border a lot, but this crossing is actually the busiest in all of North America. 40,000 people a day, $323 million of goods flowing across that bridge. It's actually a privately owned bridge, which is kind of interesting. The owner of the bridge tweeting today, we respect truckers. We know that they are crucial and vital to the economy, but not at the cost of people's lives and livelihoods.
So what's the latest, Rudabeh, in Ottawa, where you are there? We can hear the chanting behind you. Is the idea that these truckers are going to stay put and continue with the blockade until the government does something with these mandates?
That is the idea. I want to just show you what's been gathering just since we started this live shot. Those are gasoline cans. That's actually against the law. They're not allowed to bring the cans to fill up the trucks, but they're continuing to do so anyway. You can see a lot of people coming to reload the trucks with gasoline. And this is just complete gridlock throughout this downtown area. This is the main hub. The Parliament building is over there. Earlier, there was a big rally of people. Now they're kind of spread out, but trucks just blocking all of the streets as far as the eye can see. They say they will not leave until the mask mandates, the vaccine mandates are, and a lot of other health precautions are struck down. But of course, the Canadian government not obliged to do that.
Right. What are you hearing from locals, Rudabeh? I wonder if the truckers are going to run into a point of diminishing returns where maybe they're losing hearts and minds of people in Ottawa who supported them, but now they're getting frustrated because they can't get around the city. This has been going on for weeks.
That is a good point, and the vast majority of polls, repeated polls, have shown that the majority of Canadians do support these mandates. But this is a vocal group. They are growing, and this started as the vaccine mandate frustration, but it has grown to much more than that. It's now basically a referendum on the Prime Minister as well. So their complaints are many. We talked to one woman who lives here. She says the congestion, the noise, the fumes are just getting to everyone.
Yeah, okay, Rudabeh, we'll let you go. It sounds like folks are gathering around you there, too. Thank you for the update and the latest on the standoff there at the U.S.-Canada border. Thanks, Rudabeh. Our Pulse of America tonight, the Super Bowl, 5 days away. And ready or not, L.A., here we go. The Cincinnati Bengals have arrived in Los Angeles. Their plane touching down this afternoon in the California sun. 31.5 million Americans are expected to place a bet on the big game. That's 5 times the number who will watch, or rather 5 times more will watch, I should say. And with hundreds of thousands of fans and others descending on L.A. this week, we are reminded of a stark warning on this broadcast recently about security. Here it is.
If you're planning to come to a Super Bowl, they're talking about handing out N95 masks at the Super Bowl for everybody that attends, when really they need to start handing out bulletproof vests, because that's the only thing that's going to keep them safe.
LAPD Detective Jamie McBride responding to 2,500 officers from the LAPD and the Sheriff's Office being out sick with COVID as this weekend approached. Since then, most of those officers have returned to work. So good news. Today, NewsNation also got a bird's eye view of the security around SoFi Stadium. The feds, in coordination with the LAPD, making the area around the venue probably the safest place in America, or at least one of them. So the game itself should be safe, or at least there are measures we know now in place. What about the rest of the city? Let's check in with LAPD Detective Jamie McBride again. He's back with us live tonight. So, Detective, last time you were on, you scared the bejesus out of us. Now we know the feds have sent in reinforcements. A lot of the officers who were out with COVID are back. Are you feeling better now?
Well, you know what? I'm glad that we're getting some assistance. But even with the numbers of officers out there on COVID that are back, we're still down 700 officers from defunding the police. And it's great that we're going to have all the security around the station. But what about the other 364 days a year and throughout the rest of the city? Now, we're going to be going on max deployment that day, meaning nobody's going to have a day off, and they're calling officers in. But what they're not going to be out in the street, though. They're going to be staging in certain areas of the city just in case the LA Rams win and there's some kind of crazy celebration. Right. We can have a mobile field force that can respond. So it's not like you're going to have more officers out on the street. They're going to be staging in certain areas. I'm just hoping it all goes well. But still, you know, you're safe around the stadium. But everywhere else in the city, I'm still telling people it's best to watch it at home and tune into NBC because that's the only place you're going to be safe.
Yeah. How does this work with the feds, Detective? How do these officers work? Will they basically concentrate on the area around the stadium and allow you and your officers to cover the rest of the city?
Well, police agencies will always take the lead on anything within the city jurisdictions. The feds will only come in and they'll just be like an asset that we have to help us in any type of information that comes in that might be a possible threat. Otherwise, it's still going to be the police department that's going to take the lead on any type of enforcement and security.
So what is the plan, Detective? What does the detail look like? We know that there are going to be a lot of people there around the stadium especially, and a lot of area to cover.
You know, I think the area around there is going to be safe because you're going to have a lot of assets there. You're going to have a lot of law enforcement there. But remember, you still got to travel through our city to get to that stadium. And that's where you can run into some trouble. Just like when the Forum was there in the 80s and we had crime that was going crazy in the 80s, people used to get off the 110 freeway and drive to the Forum, and they used to get in all kinds of carjackings and robberies and everything else. So there still is that maze you got to cross through to get to the stadium, and that's going to be a concern for all of us.
Yeah, at one point you had also said, and that's where you landed on our radar, don't come to L.A. because we can't guarantee you'll be safe. Do you still feel that way?
Yes, I think your best day for safety might be the Super Bowl, just because we have just a lot of people working that day. But the rest of the 364 days a year, I'm still telling people we still can't keep you safe. When I look at the alerts every day and I see that we're getting people shot all over the place daily, murdered daily. Remember, we're up 54% in homicides and shootings since 2019. And with somebody like our district attorney, George Gascon, who's not holding people accountable, it's like a revolving door here. Until George Gascon's gone and we get politicians elected that put public safety first and politics second, then we might see a turnaround. So we're praying for the new mayor's race coming up, and hopefully the recall on George Gascon comes through and George Gascon will be a name of the past. But until then, the best thing to do is visit other cities. Don't come to Los Angeles.
Is there a chance these federal officers who are coming in to help, Detective, will stick around for a few days? Is that the plan right now, assuming the Rams win and there is a need for additional support for your troops in the city?
You know what? It sounds nice hearing that we have the federal agencies here helping us out. But I've been in law enforcement for 31 years, and mostly they're going to be behind the scenes. You're not going to see any type of federal protection out there doing anything. They're really intel. That's all they do. And if they stick around, it's very little for us.
Wow. All right. Well, we'll hope for the best. There's a busy week ahead for all of you out there in L.A. Detective Jamie McBride from the LAPD. We appreciate the time. Good to see you.
You too, Joe. Thank you.
The lead announcer for NBC's Olympic coverage is coming back from China early, and he will stay put here in the U.S. Mike Tirico, the network's primetime host, is returning earlier than initially planned and will not return after the Super Bowl, which was also part of the plan. He'll finish covering the games happening in Beijing from Connecticut. He opened the coverage Friday night by mentioning China's human rights abuses and the diplomatic boycotts from the U.S. and other countries. Mike Braun of Indiana joined us now. Senator, it's good to see you. You've been critical of the IOC for choosing China for these games. Are you surprised at any of what we're hearing and seeing coming out of Beijing, particularly that last video we showed?
Hey, not at all. I've been one of the vocal opponents of putting all of this supply chain into China when it comes to the business side of things. And you got all these large corporations that have really been kind of almost salivating at that consumer market over there.
Sure.
We've had so much of our supply chain move over there. Even in the business I ran for 37 years, there was a lot of it being made over there. We try so much to stick with domestic suppliers, but it's inevitable. And now you pay the price when you see what they do, how they steal intellectual property. You know, they do all kinds of stuff that's out of the norm. And then you get these large corporations like Procter & Gamble, Coke, invest $100 million over there promoting the Olympics. A lot of inherent contradictions. So all of this, I think, is for China a way to get through this, put that facade of being a normal place. You've got the Uyghur genocide. You've got human rights violations across the board. You're going to be called out for what you're really about. And I think for China, they want to get through this. And then who knows what else they'll do with Taiwan, other issues. But they've shown themselves probably not to be handshake business partners. Much of America is waking up to that. Sadly, you got some of these big corporations that are doubling down.
You understand this as a businessman, Senator, better than most of us. My question is, what are these companies to do? Because many of them, as you point out, have very deep ties and connections with China for business reasons, money reasons.
I mean, you're really rolling the dice here. I know for a fact that there are companies quietly changing their supply chains out of a place where can you trust them in the long run. Business is about trust, handshake, figuratively speaking, in the mid and long term. A lot of what China has shown is that with their policies, not only in their own backyard, what they've done with their Belt and Road program in a lot of developing countries where they do all these infrastructure projects, get those countries indebted to them.
Right.
They intend to win the battle, not militarily. They intend to do it economically. I think they got to change a lot of stuff if they're going to grow beyond the low-hanging fruit they've been able to accomplish and pick in building their economy up to about 2/3 of ours currently. The rest will get more difficult with their bad behavior.
You mentioned debt, Senator. It's something that I think a lot about, and I wonder why more people don't. I know you've been outspoken about your frustration with the way the Senate operates, especially when it comes to the debt. COVID certainly hasn't helped, but how do we get people more, I guess, concerned about it? How do we address it? What do we do about it? $30 trillion now.
Joe, that happened last week. And when I got here just a little over 3 years ago, it was $18 trillion. That was approaching the record high coming out of World War II. Back then, we were savers and investors. We paid all of that off and built the interstate highway system with hardly any debt on our federal balance sheet. I'm debating now Bernie Sanders on the Senate floor about the modern monetary theory that they're using as an excuse. Deficits and cumulative debt don't make any difference anymore. That'll all come home to roost in the long run. This place shrugs it off, and it's going to be a rude awakening for many of the people that depend on the federal government. Retirees for their retirement and their health care, and nobody seems to care here.
I'm with you on that. Hey, on the way out, Senator, quickly, if you can give me a yes or no. Lisa Murkowski made headlines by endorsing Joe Manchin. If given the opportunity, would you cross lines and do the same thing?
I'll only endorse Joe if he becomes a Republican.
All right, Senator Mike Braun, we appreciate the time. Thank you very much, sir.
You bet.
NewsNation goes one-on-one with Stormy Daniels in her first national primetime interview since Michael Avenatti's conviction. What she has to say now about that unusual cross-examination and former President Donald Trump. That's tonight on Dan Abrams Live, 8 Eastern, 7 Central. She's 80 years old, and she's going to prison for stealing money from her school to support her gambling habit. And yes, she's a nun. Up next, the man who prepares convicts for prison. What's the one thing he would warn Sister Mary Margaret about? And what exactly is she in for when she gets there? Don't forget, you can follow us on social media at Joe Donlon TV. Back after this. Super Bowl Sunday, now just 5 days away, and for many Americans, it's turning into the Super Bowl of gambling. A record 31.5 million Americans expected to place a bet on this year's Super Bowl. That's according to the American Gaming Association. How much are they planning to bet? Nearly $8 billion. That's up nearly 78% from last year. The Gaming Association predicts 55% of bets will be placed on the Rams, with 45% of the wagers on the Bengals. However, that's slightly different than what sports betting site FanDuel has. FanDuel says 59% of spread bets are on the Bengals. That would be for them covering the 4-point spread as underdogs. Now, among the money line bets, or those picking the outright winner of the game, 76% are on the Bengals to win it all. Certainly a staggering $7.6 billion, as we mentioned, wagered on the NFC and AFC championship games 2 weeks ago. Now to a nun with a gambling problem. Sister Mary Margaret Kruper admits, "I have sinned, I have broken the law, and I have no excuses." Those are her words from her sentencing hearing. The disgraced Catholic nun sentenced to a year in prison for stealing more than $825,000 from a Los Angeles area Catholic elementary school where she was principal. How'd she spend the money? A personal debt, including her gambling debts from trips to Vegas. On top of it all, the former principal continued to ask parents to donate more and more money to the school. Here to talk more about this bizarre story is Larry Levine, director and founder of Wall Street Prison Consultants. Larry, it's good to have you. You prepare people for prison. So what can an 80-year-old nun expect going in for this? What's her first day like?
Well, let's back up a little bit. It's
okay.
A year and a day. It's not a year. The judge amended her judgment and commitment order actually today. And because she got that day, now she'll get good time. And there's a lot of misinformation. She was never facing 40 years. She had 2 counts that had a maximum of 20 years each, but they would have ran it concurrent.
Okay.
Therefore, really, she was only facing 20 years. And according to the U.S. sentencing guidelines, she was like at 30 to 37 months. So the court showed her some love as far as that goes.
Yeah.
This could have gone much worse for her.
A lot of it. I didn't realize that, Larry. I mean, it sounds to me like she got off light. I don't know what the school thinks about it.
Okay. She did get off light, and she's going to do, I don't know, a year and a day. Let's call it a year. By the time we give her some GCT, good conduct time, we give her some program time for community custody, which is like halfway house home confinement, she may only end up doing like 7 months. So it's not what it appears to be. Now, she's got to pay $825,000 in restitution, but the court said she only has to pay $20 a month. And that's based on her income, her retirement income from the church.
Right.
So essentially the church should be getting its own money back. This is all a hoax. But she has, okay, she's 80 years old. Let's break down. She's 80 years old. She has no public safety factors. She's not a flight risk. She's not a threat to the community. She has no outstanding charges. This lady, and she's got a whole bunch of aliases, she's going to go to a minimum security camp.
Okay.
She'll probably go to Victorville, California. It's about halfway between LA and Vegas. She may end up in Phoenix, Arizona at the women's camp there, or maybe Dublin, California up north. And then if the BOP, the Federal Bureau of Prisons, wants to, they could send her home. But no one's going to mess with an 80-year-old woman, nun or not. She's not going to be hard timing it.
Right.
They're just going to leave her alone.
Yeah.
And she will probably, and I've seen religious people in custody. I was in federal custody for 10 years myself in 11 different prisons, highs, mediums, lows, minimums, for narcotics trafficking, securities fraud, racketeering, obstruction and justice, and machine guns. So I was at all the custody levels. Nobody messes with the old people. I saw one guy, a guy named Thomas Maloney, when I was at Lompoc. He was a judge, a retired judge from Chicago. He was the only sitting judge that got hit on a murder for hire. And really, people treated him badly because he was sentencing people to death sentences they weren't really liable for. But this lady here, she's not going to have any problems at all. You know, people will take her under her wing. She's not going to have, what kind of job can you give an 80-year-old woman? They're not going to have her out pulling weeds, cutting lawns, working in the dining hall.
Pounding rocks. Yeah, none of that.
Well, that ain't going to happen in the feds. But 80 years old, she's got medical issues for sure. She does. And with the coronavirus rampant through the Federal Bureau of Prisons, they're using the CARES Act. And in her case, it could be compassionate release. She may only end up being there a month or so, and they'll send her home.
All right.
So I don't feel bad for her. You know what? She made a mistake. Now she's paying for it.
Yeah.
I get people that call me every day that are crying and whining, and I tell them to suck it up.
All right.
And if Sister Mary Margaret called me, I'd tell her the same thing.
Listen, Larry Levine, the next time we have a prison question, I know exactly where we're going. It's been interesting. Thanks for the time. Federal prison consultant Larry Levine. Take care, my friend.
Certainly.
All right. Checking in now on the southern border, we're going to tell you about the one business that's even more of a moneymaker for the cartels than fentanyl, and how they're using social media apps that your kids probably use to conduct that business. That's ahead. Back to our top story now. Week 2 of a massive trucker protest against COVID-19 restrictions. Protesters blocking one of the busiest border crossings in North America and also threatening supply chain disruptions as well. NewsNation's Rudabeh Shibazi on the ground for us in Ottawa. Rudabeh, I know you just dropped in there today. What would you say is the one thing you've seen today that surprised you the most?
Well, Joe, I have to say this really resembles the rallies in the United States, the anti-vaccine mandate rallies, a lot of kind of pro-Trump sentiment that we see in the United States, which is now, of course, all over the world as the world responds to COVID restrictions, lockdowns, mask mandates, vaccine mandates. A lot of people draped in Canadian flags, a lot of distrust and disdain for the media, but also a huge gathering out here. And just the gridlock is really a sight to behold. The whole gridlock through the downtown Ottawa area, and people continuing to bring gas to these truckers, which is illegal. They're not allowed to, but they're kind of doing it in plain sight. They're told that they'll be cited, but we haven't really seen a lot of that.
Is there any indication, Rudabeh, that the government might bend at all on this? Is there any resolution that might be in sight?
Not that I know of. They have repeatedly said, the government entities, that they will not negotiate, that this is not a negotiable. This has been called an occupation by the current administration and by police and other officials. They do consider this an occupation. They say they will not negotiate with people who are cutting off what they see as the economic lifeline of Canada and Ottawa in particular.
Right. So the standoff continues. Okay, Rudabeh Shibazi live for us in Ottawa tonight. Rudabeh, thank you again. A new report by the U.S. Commission on Combating Synthetic Opioid Trafficking reveals more than 100,000 people died of drug overdoses in the year ending June 2021. According to the commission, these overdoses cost the U.S. economy a total of $1 trillion. A lot of these drugs being smuggled to the U.S. from Mexico, of course, but the real cash cow is apparently human smuggling. Joining me now for more, live from the border, NewsNation's Robert Sherman. So how are these smugglers being recruited, Robert? I know there's a lot to this, and why are they signing on? I'm sure there is a lot of money involved.
There is a lot of money involved, Joe, and it's so much money that we're seeing people brought in from outside the region. Local law enforcement is telling us that just about every human smuggler that they arrest down here in the Del Rio area not coming from this region. To give you an example, last night, NewsNation was able to exclusively tag along with Texas DPS and follow them around to one of those human smuggling buses where 9 people were arrested in nearby Kinney County. A truck drove away from a traffic stop, went into the woods, and the driver took off. More importantly, that truck that was used, though, was actually stolen out of San Antonio. So it just goes to show how a lot of these people are coming from outside the area. In terms of how they're being recruited, well, law enforcement tells us that they're seeing applications such as WhatsApp being used and TikTok. There was actually an incident out of Arizona where someone was recruited through an online video game. So those are just some of the mediums that are being utilized. In terms of the why, that answer is pretty easy, Joe. Money. It's quick cash. Listen to this.
It's just going to vary depending where those individuals were from, depending what country. But for the most part, an average, anywhere from 2,000 to 3,000 a person. It's very profitable, especially for these human smugglers, to take part in this, in part of human smuggling, because they're getting paid thousands to smuggle people.
So, Joe, there is money to be made in human smuggling if you don't get caught.
It seems to me like that's the hitch here, because it's hard to catch these smugglers, Robert, because in many cases they've done their job. They get them to a certain point, the migrants, and then they're gone, and the migrants are on their own to go from there.
Mm-hmm. And keep in mind, Joe, that we are talking about Texas here, which is a wide-spanning landscape. We were able to see some of that earlier today when we rode in the helicopter belonging to Texas DPS. And you see all of these ranches that are thousands of square acres running up next to another ranch that is thousands of square acres. But from above, there's all of this brush, there's all these bushes. Every single piece of foliage effectively becomes a hiding place. We saw all of these resources be put into the ground earlier today between the National Guard and Texas DPS and Border Patrol. Still saw somebody evade them during one of those suspected human smuggling incidents. So there's a lot of resources being put into the field here, Joe. This is a very difficult landscape to navigate for law enforcement.
Yeah, Robert Sherman, live for us tonight on the border. Thank you very much. We're going to shift gears now to the number of blue states flipping their stance on mask mandates. Connecticut, New Jersey, Delaware, California, and Oregon are all seeking to pull back on school mask mandates in the coming weeks. Joining me now for more on this, founder of the progressive Third Degree Strategies communication firm, Max Burns, and also TAG Strategies Republican strategist, Aaron Perrine. So the tide has turned quickly here, guys, and let's start with you, Max, on this. What changed? What happened all of a sudden?
Well, there's a mix of both political calculus here and also public health reality. And the reality is a lot of these states were gearing up for a winter surge. We're now through that surge. Here in New York, caseloads are about the same as they were back in October. And with that is this political calculus that a lot of families are getting tired of this. A lot of them have kids who are vaccinated, and they're getting conflicting messaging. So this is starting to become a real anchor on Democrats. And you're seeing a lot of mayors and governors start to push really aggressively to get back to normal.
Yeah, the timing of it, Aaron, is weird, though, because it seems like they all either had an epiphany or, to Max's point, and I had actually wondered the same thing, is this political calculus?
Oh, absolutely. This is political calculus, because even months ago, you heard Democrats and the CDC and a number of officials talking about whether or not cloth masks were even working and whether or not they would work. And then you see that the variants that are coming along, how that is or isn't affecting communities. But what Democrats actually saw was parents stand up and make their voices heard about what's happening in schools regarding masks, about what their kids are learning. And they've seen the pushback, especially when it comes to COVID, so that now these states are turning back their mandates. This isn't about science. It's about political calculus. And listen, Democrats need to get these mandates out of the way, let kids get back to school, and let parents have a say in their children's education.
Max, it does feel, and we just checked in on the situation up on the Canadian border, where people really, if we haven't gotten to that area, we're certainly getting much closer, where people, I think, are at the point where they say, to Aaron's point, get the shot if you want, don't if you don't, wear a mask or don't. But people are already sort of doing whatever they want at this point, aren't they?
Yeah, there's a great deal of frustration. And to Aaron's point, I lay a lot of blame on the CDC that has terribly served the Biden administration with its guidance. And more to the point, I think it's funny that Aaron criticizes Democrats first for putting in the mandates and now for listening to people and actually pulling them back. If anything, this is Democratic mayors and governors acknowledging the reality, realizing this was a serious issue for voters, and responding in a way that is responsible.
There's no way, Aaron, to make everyone happy.
No, the responsible thing.
Go ahead.
No, there's no way to make everybody happy, that's for sure. But I can tell you the responsible thing to do would have been to have done this a long time ago. But letting the politics lead this instead of the science is why Democrats are falling in the pollings and why you are seeing Republicans surging ahead across the country. It's because Democrats played politics and they played fools of themselves. You see Stacey Abrams, you see Kathy Hochul, you see Democrat politicians across the country taking photos without masks as they mandate them in schools, as they mandate them in businesses, with everybody else in the photo having to wear masks. You even heard the CDC say that they were putting these recommendations in place pretty much solely because of what people would tolerate, not based on the science. When it came to COVID, people were worried about heavy-handed mandates and what they would do to the economy, to kids. We're going to be looking at a mental health crisis for an entire generation because of unscientific mandates. Democrats hid to try and say it was science. It was never the science. It was all the politics of control. So they don't get credit for going back and doing the right thing that they should have done in the first place. They get no credit whatsoever.
Max, it is a novel coronavirus, and we've all, I guess, tried to do our best here with what we know and when we knew it. But to Aaron's point, I'm wondering, here we are in February now, is there enough time between now and the midterms? People have short memories to move on and forget if we're at a point in a month or two where mask mandates are no longer an issue and the Republicans can't use it against you.
No, I think that Republicans will use this against Democrats no matter what happens. You're not going to hear Republican commentators apologize for saying Joe Biden was going to throw you in a government camp for not getting vaccinated, when in reality, we tried to get people vaccinated. We got as many as we could vaccinated. We used all the legal tools possible. And when those were not effective, we backed off and acknowledged the reality. That's a position I would love to see Republicans take.
Aaron, I'm wondering about the timing on another issue in California, where they're going to lift the indoor mask mandate on February 15th. And we talked in our meeting today about how that's 2 days after the Super Bowl. Why do you think they wouldn't do it 2 days before?
Well, Gavin Newsom has to try to make up for the fact that he was holding his breath or lying to the people when he said he was wearing a mask when he wasn't wearing a mask. So now he's going to grandstand in the stadium wearing a mask in front of everybody. Listen, I'm not going to watch the Super Bowl. I'm a Buffalo Bills fan, so I'm very upset still about what happened and the fact that we're not there. But this is all political theater for Gavin Newsom and the Democrats. Again, this isn't science. It's politics for Democrats. They know that this mask mandate is nonsense. So instead of doing the right thing, Gavin wants his photo with a mask on in the stadium, so everybody else has to suffer.
Max, I'll give you the last word. Is it truly an anchor, as you said, for the Democrats, or can they get rid of it in time?
I think that they can get rid of it. And unlike Gavin Newsom, Kathy Hochul here in New York has a mandate deadline 2 days before the Super Bowl. And I'm willing to bet that we will see an end of mask mandates then. All
right, Max Burns and Aaron Perrine, good to have you both. Thanks for the time.
Thanks.
Thank you.
There is a coast-to-coast battle over leaf blowers. We'll tell you why so many cities are trying to get rid of them. And it's not just because of this. Picture this. It's a beautiful summer morning and you're trying to sleep in on a Saturday and you wake up to the unmistakable roar of the leaf blower. It is an issue that has become more and more contentious. And in California, Governor Gavin Newsom signed a bill that will mean the end of the use of gas-powered leaf blowers and lawnmowers in the state. Joining me now, California Assembly member from Sacramento, Mark Berman, and founder of the Patriot Academy, Rick Green. So, Assemblyman, let's start with you. Are you getting any blowback on this?
Sure.
I'm glad you got it.
Got a lot of folks' attention.
Yeah, bad dad joke there. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a lot of interest on it. There are definitely some folks who think I'm crazy, and then as they learn about the smog, the smog emissions and the climate change creating pollutants that a lot of this equipment creates, they realize that this is really some pretty low-hanging fruit for us to be able to address the impacts of climate change in California and across the country.
Rick, do you have one of these things? I'm just wondering. And if so, why not? Because they're awfully handy.
Absolutely. I've actually got one of each. I've got a gas-powered one and a battery-powered one.
Okay. Nice. So if you were still in the state legislature there in Texas, would you have voted to do this?
Absolutely not. Look, man, this is more of the left-wing virtue signaling. Gavin Newsom, without question, if his integrity is the same on this as it is on masks, he's probably out there right now using a leaf blower that he outlawed, but not using a mask at the one time he needs to use a mask. I mean, this is, but that's a joke because we know elites like this never mow their own lawn. They've never mowed a lawn in their life, most likely, and they're making things worse, not better. They're not helping the environment with this. They're going to hurt their own electrical grid in California. It's typical silliness.
I mean, what is it? 3 million gallons a year we spend, we use, right? Isn't that right, Mark, on tending to our lawns and gardens?
That's right. And in California, the pollutants from small off-road engines, including this equipment, will exceed the smog-forming pollutants from passenger vehicles, or already did exceed the smog-forming pollutants from passenger vehicles. So we know that this is harming the environment. And Rick joked about masks, but if you're using a zero-emission leaf blower or lawnmower, you don't have to wear a mask because you don't have to worry about the health impacts of inhaling all of those pollutants that are creating negative health impacts for a lot of our landscaping professionals. So this is something that helps the environment, it helps the workers, and it makes our communities a heck of a lot less quieter, which we could all appreciate.
Rick, here's the thing. I mean, if I have a lot of leaves on my lawn, I love this thing. But if my neighbor has a lot of leaves, not so much. And I'm not, I mean, I'm laughing because when I lived in Portland, I heard these things all day long, starting at 7 in the morning, where you say, seriously, come on, you're killing me.
Well, and Joe, listen, that's why essentially this comes down to freedom, right? I mean, if you can outlaw everything that annoys you about your neighbor or other people out there, then what kind of country do we live in? And where I live in Texas, the mask is not for the machine. The mask is for all the dust, all right? I know it's different in California, but out here in Texas, it's the dust that we worry about. And the problem here is just government getting out of its lane. It's government doing things it shouldn't do. Let the market decide this. Let local entities decide this if they want. But for the state to come in and outlaw this, mostly people that know nothing about how to take care of a lawn or which machine works best, what they're doing is just making it harder for the hardworking people out there that make your yard look good, or hardworking people like myself that make my own yard look good.
Hey, Mark, the thing about this is, even if you have an electric one, you still have the noise issue, right?
They do still make noise. They make a lot less noise than the gas-powered equipment does. But a couple of quick points that I want to make sure that everyone understands. We are not banning the use of gas-powered equipment. We're banning the sale of new gas-powered equipment in 2024. So we're not going to take your equipment away from you. If you've got your gas guzzler, you can keep on using it until it breaks down. But we want to send that signal to industry. We want to send that signal to the market that, hey, keep making this stuff, and you're going to have a market of 40 million people here in California that are going to be excited to buy this zero emission equipment that works just as good as your gas powered equipment. It's cheaper in the long run, and it breaks down less. So, Rick, I think it's a win-win.
Can we ban, Rick, at least the usage before 10 a.m.?
Yes, please.
Actually, you can do local ordinances on that in terms of your decibels and all those things. Listen, I don't buy any of the data from these folks anymore. It's probably as bad as their data was on COVID. They've proven themselves to be so wrong on the science and data for the last 2 years on that. My guess is they're probably wrong on this one as well. How about we err on the side of freedom, let the individual decide, not the state government?
Rick, or Mark, I'll give you the last word. 10 seconds.
Rick and I are going to have to agree to disagree a little bit on this. But Joe, I'm looking forward to making sure that you can sleep in as late as you want without being interrupted by those gas-powered leaf blowers.
And I know our audio man, Sully's having a blast with the leaf blower sound. We've heard enough of that. Hey, California Assemblymember Mark Berman and founder of the Patriot Academy, Rick Green, it's good to see you both. Thanks for the time.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks.
On Balance with Leland Vittert starts at the top of the hour. He joins us now. And I haven't asked you about Russia yet. Do you think Putin is just playing, or do you think he's going in?
Yes.
You think both?
Both.
You think he's going in?
Yeah, well, who knows? Who knows? And that's kind of the point, right? But so far, there's been nothing put in his way to really stop him. And this is a guy who believes that recreating Mother Russia, the greater Soviet Union, avenges one of the worst catastrophes of the end of the 20th century, which is the fall of the Soviet Union.
Right.
So, yes, he wants to go in. You guys have the photos of sort of the grandmas from Ukraine. Never mess with the Ukrainian grandmother. I had one.
Okay.
But they're training to fight. When it's, I mean, in a way, you sort of look at them with wooden guns and you say, that's really what a lot of people are going to be fighting the Russian army with. So the Russians know this. The only problem with going into Ukraine is you break it, you buy it. And so Vladimir Putin doesn't necessarily want another Afghanistan on his hands, which is how the Soviet Union really fell in the 1980s. So there's some calculus here, but more importantly for him, how do you keep the oligarchs and the money flowing into Russia? And if he can do that without invading Ukraine, he will.
Sure. I know you have, I just heard you have Coach O on tonight. Is that right?
There you go. Well, you had Joe Burrow's parents. I mean, it's not quite there, but
No.
Coach O was the coach at LSU when Joe Burrow won the national championship. So
Coach O.
If Burrow wins the Super Bowl, he will be only one of 3 quarterbacks to win both a national championship and a Super Bowl.
And I think the only one and a Heisman, right?
I think that, yeah.
Heisman, the Natty, and the Super Bowl.
So Coach O is really credited with finding Burrow and bringing him along. So we're going to ask Coach O what he's going to be watching for in the Super Bowl.
All right, that'll be a fun interview for sure. On Balance at the top of the hour. Thanks, Leland. We'll see you then. Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow stepped off the plane today looking a little milder than the usual fit. We talked with his parents, as Leland mentioned last night. More on that next. And to our viewers out there, we want to thank you for making NewsNation the fastest growing cable news network in the country. Back after this. Sully. Our cameras capture the moment Cincinnati Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow arrived in L.A. ahead of the Super Bowl. Burrow, known for his stylish wardrobe that earned him the nickname Joe Cool, dressed with the rest of his teammates wearing a white Bengals tracksuit. Last night, I spoke with his parents, Jim and Robin Burrow, and asked where he got his fashion sense. Does he get his fashion sense from you or Jim?
Definitely from me, not from
So you're not the one smoking the cigars, I hope, right?
No, I am not. That is true. I am not the cigar smoker.
All right, tonight's American Snapshot now, a football fan's dream come true, and it's a great one. Paul Miracle is a Bengals super fan, and he's going to the Super Bowl. Paul was diagnosed with ALS in 2019, but his daughter Sarah wasn't going to let that stop him from making it to this game. When things started looking good for the Bengals, she began a GoFundMe page to raise the money. Now $32,000 has been raised. That's enough for tickets, flights, and a hotel room. Paul and Sarah get our American Snapshot tonight. We'll see you on Super Bowl Sunday. That's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. On Balance, next. Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.